The bedroom door slammed, the sound ricocheting like a gunshot through the silent house. I froze, my hand still on the knob, her words burning in my ears. Be a man and stop insisting on intimacy. Lila's voice had been a blade, sharp and cold, slicing through the fragile thread of our evening. My pulse thundered, not from anger but from the sickening lurch of something breaking inside me. I stood in the hallway, the dim glow of the lamp casting jagged shadows across the hardwood, and felt the weight of her accusation settle into my bones. Was I the problem? Or was she hiding something I couldn't yet name? The air smelled faintly of her lavender perfume, a scent that used to comfort me, but now felt like a lie clinging to the walls. I leaned against the doorframe, my fingers tracing the chipped paint, and replayed the fight in my mind. It had started small, a brush-off when I reached for her, her body stiffening under my touch. I'm tired, Mark, she'd said, her eyes avoiding mine, fixed on the flickering TV screen. But it wasn't just tonight. It was weeks, maybe months, of her pulling away, her smiles thinning, her excuses growing sharper. I'd ignored it, told myself it was stress, her new job, the late nights at the office. But tonight, her words had cracked something open, and doubt seeped in like damp rot. I wandered to the kitchen, the tiles cold under my bare feet, and poured a glass of whiskey. The amber liquid burned my throat, but it didn't dull the questions clawing at me. Why did her phone buzz at odd hours, her fingers quick to silence it? Why did she lock it now, when she never used to care? I stared at the refrigerator, its hum filling the silence, and noticed a post-it note stuck to the door. Meeting with Jay, 7 p.m. Jay. She'd mentioned a coworker named James, hadn't she? My stomach twisted, but I pushed it down. I was being paranoid. Lila wasn't like that. She loved me, didn't she? The next morning, she was gone before I woke, her side of the bed cool and untouched. A note on the counter read, "Early meeting. Back late." I crumpled it in my fist, the paper biting into my palm. The house felt too big, too empty, the ticking of the clock like a pulse I couldn't escape. I went through the motions, coffee, work, emails, but my mind kept circling back to her. To the way her laugh had changed, sharper now, like it belonged to someone else. To the way she'd started wearing that red lipstick, the one she used to say was too bold, too much. By noon, I couldn't stand it. I grabbed my keys and drove to her office, telling myself I'd just surprise her, bring her lunch. The city buzzed around me, horns blaring, the air thick with exhaust and the faint tang of street vendors' carts. Her building loomed ahead, all glass and steel, reflecting the gray sky like a mirror. I parked and sat there, gripping the steering wheel, my heart hammering. What was I doing? Spying? I almost turned back, but then I saw her. She stepped out of the revolving doors, her dark hair catching the wind, her coat unbuttoned despite the chill. And there he was, James, I assumed, tall, polished, his hand grazing her elbow as they walked. They laughed, her head tilting toward him in a way that made my chest ache. It was the kind of ease she hadn't shown me in months. I watched them cross the street, disappear into a cafe, and something in me cracked. Not anger. Not yet. Just a quiet, suffocating certainty that I was losing her. That night, she came home late, her cheeks flushed, her eyes bright with something I couldn't read. "How was your day?" I asked, my voice tight, the words tasting like ash. She shrugged, kicking off her heels. "Fine. Busy." She didn't look at me, just moved to the sink, rinsing dishes that didn't need rinsing. I stood behind her, the space between us heavy, electric. "Who's Jay?" I asked, my voice low, testing the waters. Her hands stilled, the sponge dripping into the sink. "What?" she said, too quick, too sharp. She turned, her eyes narrowing. "Why are you digging through my things?" "I saw the note," I said, holding her gaze. "And I saw you today. With him." The air shifted, thick with unspoken truths. Her face softened for a moment, then hardened again. "You're spying on me now?" she snapped, but her voice trembled, betraying her. "You don't trust me?" "Should I?" The question hung there, raw and ugly. She didn't answer, just turned back to the sink, her shoulders rigid. I wanted to shake her, to demand the truth, but instead, I walked away, my footsteps echoing in the quiet house. The next few days were a haze of silence and suspicion. I noticed things I hadn't before. The way she'd angle her phone away when texting, the faint scent of cologne on her scarf, the late-night calls she'd take in the bathroom, her voice muffled through the door. I told myself I was wrong, that I was seeing ghosts. But the ghosts kept whispering. It was Friday when it unraveled. I came home early, the house dark except for a sliver of light under our bedroom door. I pushed it open, and there she was sitting on the bed, her phone in her hands, tears streaming down her face. She didn't hear me at first, didn't see me standing there, my shadow falling across the floor. The phone screen glowed, and I caught a glimpse of a message before she locked it. I can't keep doing this to him. My blood ran cold. Lila, I said, my voice barely a whisper. She gasped, her phone slipping to the floor, the screen still lit with his name. James. She scrambled to pick it up, but it was too late. I saw it all in her eyes, guilt, fear, love, regret. The room spun, the walls closing in, the air too thick to breathe. How long? I asked, my voice breaking. She shook her head, sobbing now, her hands reaching for me. I stepped back, the distance between us a chasm. How long, Lila? A few months, she whispered, her voice raw. It just happened. I didn't mean for it to. Her words were a knife, twisting deeper with every syllable. I wanted to scream, to break something, but all I could do was stand there, my heart shattering. Why? I asked, the question tearing out of me. Why him? Why not me? She looked at me then, really looked at me, and the pain in her eyes mirrored mine. I don't know, she said, her voice breaking. I was lonely. You were always working, always distant. He was there. It was a mistake. A mistake. The word echoed, hollow and meaningless. I thought of the nights I'd stayed late at the office, trying to build a life for us. I thought of the moments I'd ignored her silences, her distance, thinking it was temporary. I thought of the love I'd poured into her, now scattered like ash. I turned to leave, but she grabbed my arm, her fingers digging into my skin. Mark, please. I love you. I'll end it. I swear. I looked at her, the woman I'd built my world around, and saw a stranger. The betrayal wasn't just James. It was the lies, the excuses, the slow erosion of us. I pulled away, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. You already ended it, Lila. You just didn't tell me. I walked out, the door clicking shut behind me, her sobs fading into the night. The street outside was quiet, the stars cold and distant. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew I couldn't stay. Not in that house, not in that life, not with the ghost of her betrayal trailing me like a shadow.